Hello and welcome to this session, and in this session we shall continue our understanding of the different types of pronouns. Particularly in this session our focus shall be on the last type of pronoun, which is the demonstrative pronoun. Well, that way the demonstrative pronoun, as the name itself suggests, is used to demonstrate, or in other words, it is used to point to specific entities. In fact, the demonstrative pronouns also help in indicating whether the entity that we are referring to is near in distance or far in distance. Well, the words in English language such as this, that, these, those happen to be such words that are categorized as the demonstrative pronouns. Now, why are they really being categorized as the demonstrative pronouns, and what does all of this really mean? Let me explain. In order to understand the concept of demonstrative pronouns, let's consider him to be a person and this to be a book. Well, let's assume here that the book is pretty closer in distance to the person. Now, in case I ask you as to if really this person has to refer to the book, then how does he refer to it as? Obviously, he shall refer to it as this book, and here the word this happens to be categorized as the demonstrative pronoun, and the person shall refer to the book as this book because it is closer to him. Now, instead of a singular book, say supposing I have multiple books, then obviously the person cannot be referring to the multiple books as this books. Rather, he will have to be referring to it as these books. In other words, through this, what I wanted you to understand is that the words this and these happen to be the demonstrative pronouns that are used, particularly when the entity being referred to is at a closer distance to the person or the subject of the sentence. Well, that way, just in case the entities are at a farther distance from the person, then obviously he cannot be now referring to them by making use of either this or these. Rather, if they are at a farther distance, then the person will have to make use of the word that if he has to refer to the singular entity, or he may have to make use of the word those if he has to refer to the plural entities. So all said and done, I am sure that through all of this you have been able to understand that the word this and these are particularly used whenever the person has to refer to entities that are nearby to him, and that the same person shall have to make use of the word that and those whenever he is referring to entities that are far away from him. So I am sure that through all of this you have been able to understand that this, that, these, those happen to be the demonstrative pronouns, and I'm sure that this table summarizes the entire concept of demonstrative pronouns. But then, in order to get more clarity on this concept, let me use these demonstrative pronouns in my sentences, and that shall definitely give you the required clarity. So, let me proceed. Have a look at the sentence. This is the cookie I baked. Well, it happens to be a valid English sentence, and in this sentence, the word this is categorized as the demonstrative pronoun. Well, the word this is indicating that the person who baked the cookie and the cookie are at a very nearby distance to each other, and that is precisely the reason as to why we have made use of this demonstrative pronoun this. Now, just in case the person has not baked one cookie, rather he has baked multiple cookies, then the sentence shall be that these are the cookies I baked. Well, here these is a demonstrative pronoun which is indicating that there are a plurality of cookies that have been baked, but then what really you need to understand is that all of these cookies are also at a near distance to the person who has baked it. Now, what if the cookies that were baked happen to be at a farther distance? Say supposing we have a scenario something like this, then obviously the English sentence will have to be that is the cookie I baked. Well, here that happens to be a demonstrative pronoun, which is definitely showcasing that the person who has baked the cookie and the cookie are not at a near distance, rather they happen to be at a pretty far distance. And because there is a considerable distance between the person baking the cookie and the cookie, that we are not making use of the demonstrative pronoun this, rather we are making use of the demonstrative pronoun that. Hope it is clear. But then, just in case there are multiple cookies that have been baked and are at a farther distance, then obviously we will have to make use of the word those, in the sense that those are the cookies I baked. Well, I'm sure now you have definitely been able to understand that the words this, these, that and those happen to be the demonstrative pronoun, just that we make use of the demonstrative pronoun this whenever we have to refer to singular entities that are near to the subject, and we make use of the word these whenever we have to refer to plural entities that are near to the subject. But then we make use of the demonstrative pronoun that whenever we have to refer to such an entity which is far from the subject and is singular. But then in case we have a plural subject which is far from the entity, then we make use of the word those. So all said and done, I am sure now if you would look back at the definition, it is pretty clear that the demonstrative pronouns happen to be such pronouns that help us to point to specific entities, and that the demonstrative pronouns also in a way indicate whether the entity is nearby or far away from the subject. Hope it is completely clear. Anyway, let me give you one final example to substantiate all of this for you. Have a look at all of these sentences. This is the car I want to buy. These are the cars I want to buy. That is the car I want to buy. Those are the cars I want to buy. Well, all of these four sentences happen to be valid English sentences, and also that all of the four sentences have a demonstrative pronoun in them. Well, in the first sentence, this happens to be the demonstrative pronoun. That way, these, that, those also happen to be the demonstrative pronouns, just that we make use of this as a demonstrative pronoun whenever we have to refer to such entities that are near to the subject and are singular in nature. Well, these happens to be such a demonstrative pronoun that we shall be making use of whenever we have to refer to entities that are near but are plural in nature. But then we make use of that as a demonstrative pronoun, particularly to refer to such entities that are farther away and is singular in nature. But then in case we have to refer to such entities that are farther away and plural in nature, that we make use of those as the demonstrative pronoun. So all said and done, I am sure that even through this example, you have been able to understand that the demonstrative pronouns basically are used to point to the specific objects, and in this case, it is used to point to the object car. And obviously, the demonstrative pronouns also help in indicating whether the object or the entity is singular or plural, and also whether it is near or far. So all said and done, I'm sure that all through these sessions on the pronouns that you have now been able to understand all the different types of pronouns. And again, let me tell you that it is only practice that shall make you perfect. You have definitely the required knowledge about pronouns, but then how well you practice, how frequently you practice is what that shall ensure whether you are successful in using all of this knowledge to frame impactful and meaningful sentences in English. I'm sure you will put in your efforts. Thanks for watching. If you really want to know more about the other parts of speech in English, then all that you really have to do is to continue watching this video series. Hope this entire set of sessions were informative. Let's meet again in my next session to understand a new part of speech.